welcome back to my channel. My name is Rachel, that is the R in the RK Stumbling Bear, and I am a reader and a writer. And I am back to do my self-published science fiction roundup 2, where I'm going to talk about the last 4 books of the 9 that I signed up for and my impressions. 2 of these books I mentioned in my December wrap-up. The first book I'm going to talk about is Grave Cold by Shannon Knight. This is a paranormal sci-fi, and this book has caused some conversations about what is sci-fi and what is not. And I think most of us agree that if you take the sci-fi element out of the book and the book can still stand on its own, then it's not a sci-fi. However, I argue that you cannot, and that the paranormal aspect with ghosts is tied to the sci-fi element. In this book, we are following Kate and Nilewolf. Nilewolf is a raven. They are an ancient being that helps the dead move on. And Kate is a necromancer, though she doesn't know this at the beginning of the book, which means she can manipulate the dead. Kate is living in the District of Portland, so this is set in the future where main big cities have turned into like city-states. So just kind of dystopian future. I would say most people's lives continue normal, or at least normal-ish. So Kate is having trouble sleeping because the dead keep invading her sleep. So she goes out to the woods to get some rest, meets Nilewolf, who's been trying to get into the District of Portland. But the city walls and the guards on the city walls are stopping him, and so he convinces her to sneak him in. And they become friends, and they figure out that the dead are being used to power technology, to power the security systems. And when Niall is releasing the dead to go rest, it's causing havoc with security and power. This is why I say you can't take the paranormal element away from the sci-fi in this book. It is a sci-fi. I really enjoyed this. I thought this was an intriguing element and a fun genre blend. Yeah, this is definitely one that I recommend to like my urban fantasy readers because it has a lot of those elements, but with a sci-fi twist. I then read Drowning Earth by Sean Wilson and really enjoyed this one. This is a sci-fi thriller, also set in a future from now where the technology of submarines has changed. And I say that this is thriller because we have some espionage issues. The submarine technology, other countries are wanting to steal it, and some people who are supposed to be on their side are trying to help that happen. But what the people on the submarine don't realize is their fates are in a bigger universe or in someone else's hands. This also caused a little bit of conversation because we have the gods at the beginning and in the interludes. But then we decided, okay, these gods aren't so much like, even though they use the names of Helios and Willow, that they're not so much magical gods, but scientific gods, because they're called builders. They're building universes and realities, and that falls more in a science fiction vein. This is another one I really enjoyed, and I'm looking forward to book 2, which I think comes out in 2025. Now, unfortunately, these next 2 did not work for me, and I'm going to explain why with each one. First, I'm going to talk about Near Traversed, or Lonely Ship of the Accord by either Ewan Stone. This is one where the premise sounded very interesting to me, but then when I got to the execution, I was not prepared for the horny sci-fi. It was after I attempted this book that one of the other people in my group had done some more research and came back and like, okay, all the horniness and sex that is happening in the beginning of this book is supposed to be there. It was intentional, but for me as a reader, I realized that if this is what is going to be happening in the book, then this is a book that is not for me. And so I marked this as not my style, which means it doesn't count against the book. And it went to my other teammates to read and decide what do they think. I think that this is something where if you like lust at first sight, because this isn't love, or you like that the characters get together and bang, you like descriptions of bosoms and bodies, then this book is going to work for you. As I am demisexual, I have a hard time with that sort of thing, even in contemporary romances and historical romances. So it's not a failing of this book. It is something that is personal to me, and I don't connect with this setup. And that's why I'm saying, if that's something that doesn't bother you, go read it. For the chapters I read, the writing was interesting. I can tell the author has put in time and effort to create their world, to have distinct characters of the alien races, and that each person has their own morals and moral code. This is just not something that works for me. And then the last one is The Lazarus Men by Christian Warren Freed. And this is kind of like a callback to what I would say is the golden age of science fiction, the 40s and 50s, a lot of what was written then, because the style of this was very reminiscent of reading Heinlein, who was like my first foray into science fiction. In this, we are following mostly Gerald LaPlante, who witnessed a murder, and unfortunately the murderers found his ID card and so know that he's witnessed the murder, and so now he's trying to run away. It also happened that the person who was murdered had done a switcheroo, pulled his wallet, but had left an artifact that the murderers wanted. So bigger plot, he's now embroiled in, doesn't know the stakes, plucky guy trying to figure it out. And here are all these beautiful women who are falling kind of into his lap, with their own agendas as well, of course. But this is where I'm like, it's very reminiscent of that early age of science fiction. And you are not supposed to like Gerald. He is not a likable character. And for me, that made it really hard reading this book, because I would like to root for my main character, but this is a very flawed character who whines and complains a lot in his head and then does illogical actions, at least for me. And so despite all the callbacks of nostalgia that I felt with this book did end up not working for me overall. So that was the 4 books that finish off the 9 that I signed up to read for this contest and our beginning stages. I forgot to say at the beginning, my point of view does not reflect what the team decides, because we are having multiple readers look at these books. Just because something doesn't work for me doesn't mean that it doesn't work for more people on my team. That's the beauty of teams. As of recording this, my team is starting to finalize what our quarterfinals are going to be. Quarterfinals are like the books everybody in the team reads and then decides which 2 are going to go on to the semifinals. So quarterfinalists aren't an official category of the contest, but basically have gotten a name for each team. When those quarterfinalists are decided, I will do a video announcing them, as I'm sure some of my other teammates will do posts, because I think I'm the only YouTuber on my team currently this year. But I'm really enjoying the science fiction that I am getting to get into contact with. If any of these books sound interesting and right up your alley, even if they weren't my type of books, I'd love to know about it down below. Thank you, and have a great day.